Morning. I'm Hannah Bevan and I'm Director of Relationships at Hockey Wales.
Thank you very much, Hannah, and pleasure to be with you today. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview for us. My first question to you would be, why is Hockey Wales investing in youth leadership programs? Can you tell us a little bit about the strategy behind it and the goals and outcomes that Hockey Wales is trying to achieve?
Yeah, of course. So our youth leadership programme, so in Wales, is known as our Young Ambassador programme. It began back in 2012 when London hosted the 2012 Olympics. The youth leadership programme came as a legacy of that Olympics. Basically, we really do understand and we really understand the importance of investing in the next generation of leaders. So we want this program to really give us a sustainable future workforce, because we know that, as members of staff in Hockey Wales, we're not going to be here forever. We're not going to be working for years and years on end in Hockey Wales, because the landscape of sport changes, therefore the landscape of the workforce delivering it changes. And same goes for our clubs. We understand that there's being a committee member, so running a club is a huge commitment, and we want to prepare the next generation because we understand that they are going to be the future leaders of clubs. And what we don't want to get to is point where committee members are stepping away, and as Hockey Wales staff members we're moving on to new places, and then there's no one else to fill our boots as such, and no one else appropriate with relevant experience and knowledge of the sport to step in and deliver accordingly. So that's sort of why we're really invested in this program. And I suppose from our perspective, where it fits with our strategy, it fits into every strand. So the biggest thing for us is, we need a workforce to enhance our capacity to deliver. And without our passionate youth leaders, we absolutely wouldn't have that. I'm sure we'll move on to talk a little bit more in detail, but our programme definitely does provide, more than the coaching and umpiring experiences. So it's, developing individuals as a whole and holistically.
Thank you very much, Hannah. You gave us a great overview about why you're doing this and some of the goals. What would be a good outcome for Hockey Wales with this program? What would be a successful outcome or an expected outcome, let's say?
So, as I said, we want to create a sustainable workforce for the future. So if we can see that committee members are stepping away, and we've got young leaders that have come through our programme and they're the future chairpersons of club, or they're the future club secretary, and we as an organisation are able to provide them with the relevant experience to step into those roles and feel comfortable and run a club efficiently, then that for one is an absolute outcome and a real success for us, that we've prepared those individuals accordingly. I suppose secondly, we really do value the experiences and opportunities that we provide, that they're not only hockey specific. So for example, if we can provide an off the pitch experience, so if we can provide a journalism workshop, or we can provide a psychology workshop, and that those individuals, a group of individuals, want to go on and study psychology or journalism or media at university, and we've contributed to that level of experience that they've got in order to get a university place, or it might even be relevant experience to go on and get future employment. And even though it's not in hockey, we know that we've developed that individual, and we've provided the experiences in order to get them to where they are, and to develop them as a young leader into an adult leader. So I think that successes for us is for our young leaders to use the experiences that we provide to get them to where they want to be, whether that's in a voluntary role or in an employed role.
Thank you very, very much, Hannah. So could you tell us a bit about how Hockey Wales is delivering this youth leadership programs, and why did you choose that delivery strategy?
Yes, of course. So basically every year, so our season in Wales, as like many others, our club season runs from September through to May. So we open every year, we open registrations for new young ambassador or youth leadership applications in August. We, on this application, we ask why do they want to be a young leader? What do they want to get from the experience? And we also ask what level they want to apply for. So we have various levels from bronze plus through to bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and then we have a steering group. So over the years, that sort of the platforms and the levels in which we have grown. And what we do identify, and I suppose is similar to a lot of the playing aspect that we embed, is that it's based on stage, not age. So you could be a 13-year-old. So our program runs from age 13 through to 18. You could be a 13-year-old, coming in the program, and naturally you'd think you go in at the lower level. But what we do encourage is if they've got, if they're significantly confident in an area, or they feel like, they've got more capacity to give to the program, then they can also apply to come in at a higher level. And we do think that the levels have a huge part to play in our program, in the sense that, we can provide the staggered approach. So for those that are unable to give a lot of time due to maybe school or education commitments or family commitments, that type of stuff, then there's an opportunity for them to be involved but not give too much time, and that's absolutely fine. And we have a targeted approach with those. And then those that really want to take wholly from the program and take every experience that's given, we'd encourage them to come in at the higher level. So that's sort of our strategy. So they apply in August, they apply for a particular level. We don't necessarily turn anyone away. What we would do is we sometimes question the level in which they've applied for, and we'd have an individual conversation with that young leader. So no one gets turned away. We generally have 100 young ambassadors apply every year. And then from September onwards, they have a regional contact as well as a national contact from Hockey Wales. We use October, school holidays in October, so half term. We use that as running a national conference at one of our university partners, so University of South Wales. And basically that national conference really does kickstart the program for the year. And then we work with the YAs, we provide them with regular opportunities of workshops and learning opportunities. We can work with them independently on a one-to-one basis around what they want to do with their club. We can support them with events. We can support them with, CV writing. We can support them with logging, hours of voluntary experience. And on that point, we use a platform called Vol Hours, because what we were always looking for was a platform in which these young leaders could log the amount of hours that they were giving back to hockey, for us to really understand the return on investment. So, for example, we can understand in a year if we've, hit the 1,000 hours mark of, young leaders giving back to the hockey community, and actually the impact that has. And then I suppose the end of the season then is more event-based. So we have our young ambassadors helping us to deliver our, national indoor finals for clubs, our national youth finals, and our national cup finals for seniors. So, and they're always the first to be invited to volunteer in any international games. And we do have, at any event, we have a range of roles in which they can, sort of come forward for, and we ensure that those experiences are, we're able to cater for all that. If you don't want to be supporting with ball patrol, then you can do some off-pitch experience stuff, and that's absolutely fine. So we do have a very person-centered approach with our program, and that's been deemed successful over the amount of years that it's been running.
Wow, I'm quite impressed about the range of activities that you're providing to these volunteers. Could you give us an idea about how they are supported? I mean, you mentioned a platform. Are there other people involved? How does that work?
Yeah, so in all honesty, the program has continued to grow and grow and grow each year. We asked the young people from the previous year what they would like to see in the next year's program. So when we first started, it was very much around, the junior coaching back in a club and the umpiring back in a club. But we've really grown the program. So as I said earlier, we've opened up some workshops around mental health for them to get learning in that. We've opened up workshops around psychology in sport. We're looking to work at the FIH in the World Camp to do experiences around photography. And we do heavily rely on partners and stakeholders to support us in the delivery of this. We understand that we haven't got all that areas of expertise internally at Hockey Wales. What we do have is a great support network internally for the young ambassadors. So, we're here to listen, we're here to get feedback, and we're here to shape their future opportunities. So every young ambassador, depending on where they are placed across Wales, will have a regional point of contact. So that's where they go for any local based opportunities or any local events that they would like to run, and then we can support them with. And then they have a national contact, which all the central line of communications and opportunities will come from. And then it does very much depend on what partners we've got with us, and whether we can draw on any expertise from local businesses, from universities, from schools, education, and then from any other businesses and companies that can are really invested in the next generation, and supporting that youth leadership role. And we also do try to collaborate with other sports. We don't really shout about our successes very often, but we do know that we have a leading youth leadership program in Wales across all sports. So we do tend to open some of our opportunities out to other sports for their young leaders, if they've even got a small cohort to engage as well, because we understand the importance of our young leaders listening to other sports. And from a hockey perspective, our United Through Hockey campaign is purely based around connecting our young leaders with other young leaders from across the world, because what hockey looks like in Wales certainly doesn't mean that hockey looks like that everywhere else. So we know that just simple connections and conversations with other young leaders from across our sport and other sports will definitely benefit the individuals as well.
So how did these people where are these people coming from? Are they coming from schools? Are they coming from clubs? Are they coming from other places?
So the majority come from our clubs. So we have 80 clubs across Wales, and the majority of the percentage of applicants and young ambassadors that we do have are from our clubs. We do have a small proportion that are from schools, and they have an interest in hockey or in youth leadership in general. And with our program being one of very little of sports across Wales, we do pick up some youth leaders that just have a passion for sport and a passion for developing sport at grassroots and community level, and we do engage those as well. And obviously our support network for them looks slightly different because we have less contact, but they get open, everyone on the program gets offered exactly the same opportunities. And it's very rare that we get young leaders from other sports coming across to be part of our program, but it's not been that has been the case in the past. But majority are clubs, but we do get a small handful from schools as well. And we've also over the years increased the age group to university age as well. So we've expanded our program, whereas it started as 13 to 18, we've expanded the program up to allow for university students to apply and be part of the program, because we know that they are going through a leadership in sport experience themselves, if you're doing a sports degree in uni, or just generally that level of experience can add value to our program.
So looking back at this experience that Hockey Wales has had until now, could you tell us a success story that you had, and another one where you had to learn from things not having exactly turned out the way you wanted?
Yeah, of course. So I've actually got two, and these are two success stories that stick out in my mind. So one is with a young ambassador called Alice Gregory. So she's been involved in our program very much from the start. Her journey has been a full journey of the young ambassador program. So coming in at club level, and just starting with some coaching in club, and some local development. Alice has progressed significantly at such a young age. So Alice now works at Hockey Wales part-time as a business administrator. So she supports the development of our business processes, day to day. Alice is also on our board of directors, as a young person, so that she doesn't have any voting rights within the board setting, but we really we identified a gap within our board, that there was very much a demographic of a similar age range. And when we were talking about how we want to develop hockey across Wales in years to come, we never really had that young voice. And with the success of our program and the amount of people that we had invested and engaging in it, we really saw the opportunity to engage the right candidate, because again, there's obviously some sensitive conversations that happen at board level and then the organisation. So it had to be the right candidate, and Alice's voice, from a youth perspective on our board, has been absolutely invaluable, in the sense that there's that level of challenge around what you're thinking about the young people in this perspective, or are we only talking about one demographic? And I think that what Alice is well respected within our youth leadership program, and if there's any concerns on the ground, they'll go to Alice, and then Alice is able to sift through that feedback accordingly, and then bring that at board level in order to make sure that we're not missing anything, when we're making decisions at a high executive level. And most recently, so Alice is a university student at a local university to us, so Cardiff and Met. And she's actually been doing some work on Erasmus bids. And she's the only first year student that has been working on an Erasmus bid, and her attention to detail with those level of applications. And I'm sure many national associations would have gone through that process, but to have Alice be able to work on those from an organisation perspective and university is very significant, and the experience that provides her in terms of funding grant applications and bid writing and all that type of stuff, that's nothing you can learn on a hockey pitch, and that's why our wider programme for the youth leaders is so important. I suppose the second example is a young leader called Flaky Vans. Flaky again joined our youth leadership program for the very start in terms of her journey, and despite not being part of the youth leadership program anymore, Flaky has absolutely embraced the opportunities that were given to her, and she's now gone on to become an entrepreneur at quite a young age. So she runs a multi-sports activity camp and school-based company, providing multi-sport opportunities to children of her community and within the schools, and is now actually her company. So Activity is actually a partner of Hockey Wales, and Flaky delivers some of our holiday camps in partnership with Hockey Wales. So to take that full journey of being part of the programme, and then going on to be an entrepreneur at a very young age and to run your own business and then to become a partner of Hockey Wales just shows the importance and, you know, the level of value that we were able to provide through our youth leadership program. And despite, you know, Slakey obviously did a lot of her own stuff that's got her to the position that she has with her business now, but we understand that, you know, some of the experiences that we provided her were you know, invaluable in setting up that business. And then I suppose going on to your second point, Andre, around any learnings. So I suppose the biggest learning for us was maybe around the national conference. So we would like to get all of our youth leaders together every year at one venue during school holidays to make sure we're not clashing with anything. Just to provide that level of just connectivity, really, and, you know, connecting the youth leaders from across Wales together. And even though that provides a huge amount of value, with so many people in one conference, young leaders tend to get lost. If you're not the loudest voice in the room, doesn't mean you haven't got some of the best ideas or some of the best contribution, but you just don't speak up, and that's absolutely fine. But we understood that actually a national conference has its pros, but it also has its cons, and actually we've reverted now to doing the national conference every other year, and then in the years in between we do a regional conference to make sure that the groups are very much, you know, much smaller, coming together on a regional basis to make sure that because, you know, as I said, that really initiates the program for the year. And, you know, despite it looking great in photos, we've got, you know, 100 young leaders and Hockey Wales staff doing activities together and that type of stuff. It looks great for media, but the value of the day isn't always to a world-class standard for every individual, and that's exactly what we hold our hats on, delivering world-class hockey experiences. So we've took feedback from the young leaders, because it wasn't just us seeing it, it was, you know, some of the young leaders had that feedback for us. So we took that feedback and we've, you know, as like any other bit of feedback, we look at what's feasible and we change that to embed it accordingly within our future program.
So one last question.
Yeah.
What would be your youth development hockey dream?
So if I was to summarize it in one sentence, Hockey Wales staff members would do ourselves out of a job. So we would like to develop our young leaders to a point whereby me, as the director of relationships, could step away, move to another business, and quite comfortably recruit a young ambassador or youth leader to step into my role and have full confidence that they'd be able to do the job. So, you know, again, with clubs, not all of them want to work in sport, albeit, but, you know, obviously there's different roles within the organisation. Within clubs, from a club perspective, our dream would be that these young leaders coming through are the future committees of clubs. And, you know, as long as the clubs are willing to give them a voice at a young age now, that's only going to benefit clubs moving forward. And I suppose it's just another dream would be, you know, and how we track this. We battle with daily around how do we map someone's journey from, you know, the age of 13 right up to, you know, 40, 50 plus. But to know that we've shaped one's experiences positively to just get them to where they want to be. Everyone's aspirations and ambitions will be completely different, and that's absolutely fine. But to know that we've played a part in an individual's development, personal development, is absolutely where we want our young ambassador program to be. And for our youth leaders in so many years time to say, do you know what, that experience you provided me on the young leadership program with Hockey Wales was invaluable, and it's got me to this, and it's provided me with this particular experience. So I think that's where we want. It's all about the people, it's all about that person-centered approach, and, you know, that's absolutely where we see ourselves and where we see the program lying.